Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dada's Show, coming to you from the iconic Chester Hotel and Suites. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as our name suggests, the Dada's Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity amongst Kenyan women. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss issues ascertaining to their health and lifestyle, their careers and families, and anything that affects them in one way or another. We also take time to acknowledge and celebrate formidable women who are doing big things, not only for themselves, but for the community at large. Now, while marriage is often considered a sacred and binding commitment, statements such as divorce is necessary go further to acknowledge the fact that in certain situations, ending the marriage is the only viable option. Faced with that reality and the rise in the number of divorce cases in the country, Dada's Show felt it necessary to have a conversation on how to cope with separation and divorce. And we will be looking at how to cope with separation and divorce, not only emotionally, but legally as well. So joining me today is a panel of experts who are going to give us their insights on the topic. And if you or any person who you know may be going through this or is thinking about separation and divorce, then we definitely urge you to give them a call and ask them to definitely tune in. Remember to keep this conversation going on all our social media pages at KBC Channel 1 across all social media platforms. You can also reach me directly at Dada's Show, at Ashiko the host, across all social media platforms as well. You can also reach us on Facebook at Dada's Show KBC. Let us hear what your thoughts are on this topic and any other that we have had on the show. Remember, all previously aired episodes are on YouTube, and you can find them under KBC Channel 1 page on YouTube. So remember to like and to follow and to subscribe as well. Now, before we get into today's conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
According to Kenyan law, marriage is defined as a voluntary union between a man and a woman and must be registered in accordance with Marriage Act 2014. Where there is marriage, divorce can happen. Divorce is governed by the Marriage Act of 2014. In a counselor's perspective, divorce rate in Kenya continues to rise.
A family has multiple relationships in it. So there is the father, there is a wife, and the husband, there is children, there is extended family. So the impact of divorce in this case, first of all, to all of them. They lose belonging, they lose validation. Who do I belong to? I have belonged to this particular family that I've grown in. Validation, this is a place that I felt I'm a person, I loved, so it has gone. They lose protection, they lose provision, because when these two people go separate ways, as in they will be meeting their own needs, becomes actually a problem. Children from separation and divorce cases have wounds that they need to heal. And most often than not, they are always forgotten. Watoto husaulika. They are never in the picture when this is happening. These patterns can be repeated in different generations. Like we have individuals who separated from their spouses, and subsequently their children come and separate because of different reasons, not majorly because of the same reasons, but different reasons. There are some contributing factors. One is that the starting point of these relationships are not grounded on the right foundations. Because when you look at the yesteryears, there was good charism, there was some seminars people were taken through to actually understand what is a relationship and what is a marriage and how to run or how to stay in this relationship. Right now, there isn't. It's about we meet, we do a grand wedding, and we start the relationship. We are not investing in the relationship, but rather we are investing in the event, the wedding. Second thing, we lack the capability and the skills and the competencies to be with each other, because we don't want to grow as individuals. At the individual level, we don't want to grow. I'm evolving. This person is growing. I'm growing too. So are we creating a relationship that answers to our needs? You find that at the formative age, our needs are different. When we are at the middle, of our lives, like 40, 50, our needs are different. When we are in our sunset, our needs are different. And in this marriage and in this family, no, it's about me, myself, and I think for me, we are too individual. We're becoming too individualistic as a society and also as individuals. That may have given quite a lot of rise in separation and divorce.
Fewer men open up about divorce.
Women, because of their nature and how threatening this phenomena is, separation and divorce, they will first go into groups and they find quite a lot of social support. But gentlemen, or men in this case, they first of all keep this information within themselves. They suffer in silence before they come out.
Open and honest communication between partners is among many solutions to reduce divorce rates. For Dada's show, my name is Miriam Odanga.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember the conversation of the day is coping with separation and divorce. There's been a rise in the number of cases of divorce in the country. Even most recently, a very prominent couple in the process of getting separated. So unfortunately, it's a reality that we have to face. And as much as we always look forward to the ideals of a lifelong union, sometimes things happen. So to address that today, I am joined by a wonderful panel of experts who are going to take us through, will share with us their insights on the topic of the day. So right next to me, I have Irene Kitheka, who is a lived experience actually. So she is going to share with us her journey. Most people shy away when they hear the word divorce, they shy away, they go back. But Irene, we talk about it and we demystify some of the myths that go around divorce. And so we're really, really happy to have you here with us, Irene. Yeah, right next to her, we have a friend of Dada's. Her name is Angela Mwadumbo, who happens to be a lawyer, an advocate of the High Court, especially specializing in family matters. So she's definitely, what we're talking about today is definitely right up her alley. And finally, we have Madam Faith Nashipai, who is a counseling psychologist. We all acknowledge that, changing your life and this kind of adjustment can be very daunting. And so you definitely need all the kind of emotional support you may need. We also want to appreciate my wonderful audience who take time week in, week out to sit with us as we discuss issues that not only affect the women of Kenya, but the children, the men, and everybody within our lovely borders. So asanteni sana. I also want to appreciate you at home for tuning in to Dada's show every single Sunday and for listening to us on the issues that we discuss. We truly hope that it has been beneficial to you. Now, to get the ball rolling, I want to invite Irene to actually, share with us her journey. I'm sure a journey that, you didn't anticipate in a million years that you'd be sitting down sharing on national TV. But karibu sana.
All right, lovely. Thank you very much for the invite. My journey basically is, I've been divorced for over 15 years. 15 years and counting.
Yes.
And I think, just to give you a brief, getting married at about 27, I had a plan of how I wanted to live my life. So by the time I was 27, I knew I needed to get married because I had a plan. I have a vision board.
Yes.
I need to get married.
Everything.
And you kind of now fix everybody who needs to fit in there, and it happens. And then life as it is, you realize there are a few differences here and there. And the first things that I think you realize is just the lack of communication. And that in itself just automatically snowballs the rest of the drama that follows. So for me, that happened a few years. I took a break. I was like, I can't handle this. And so I went home for a few years. And then you come back and you think, let me just try it again. You just can't let it go. I mean, this is your life. I mean, you got married a grand wedding,
Everybody, all the pomp and
I had
glamour.
the white dress,
Yes.
and I was very interesting. Took a few more years, and then I decided, let me just hang these boots. I've had it. And so I did now eventually really separate, because the first time when I left, I went and lived with my parents. And unfortunately, by then my mom had just died. So it was a whole roller coaster of emotions. So the second time now when I decided I am done, I had to figure out where are you going to live? And I have a child at that time. So I moved out. And luckily, I managed to reorganize myself because by the time I was leaving, I'd already planned I was going to leave. I can tell you there's nobody who decides they're going to have a divorce or they're going to separate. You wake up in the morning and you decide, I'm done. No, you can't. If you do that now, that's you're really being on another level. So I'd already planned I was going to do that. So I already had a house and I moved out. So there was a time of separation. Because again, I was a legally married woman. I have a certificate, Buana, you know.
The one that was put in the coat pocket.
You know, my dear, you know, where you know how you're told where are going to hide it so that it's not taken, and you wear that jacket and you slide it like that.
Right there.
So I'd slide and then you gonga like this, yeah? Yes, I was that one.
Oh dear.
So I thought, okay, now I've separated, I'm away for 3 years, what do I do next, you know? And then I'm those people who had no plan B. I had no plan B. I walk out and I'm thinking, hiya, okay, I've moved out. And then, so I started slowly edging out, just reaching out to 1 or 2 people. There's one lady I reached out and asked her, I'm in trouble. I don't know what to do. So one of the things I know, I went to a doctor because the whole process kind of affected me physically. So I remember this doctor telling me, I don't want to see you here again because of the same injury. I can't. I refuse. And that time someone is telling you, you're such a beautiful woman. And I'm thinking, I am beautiful, you know. Wow. And it's a lady. And she's like, you're a beautiful woman. You cannot come with such stuff. And she told me, I know somebody who can help you. And so we hooked up with a particular lawyer. And I'm forever grateful for that lawyer. So I went to the lawyer and I told her, baby, I'm done. Things are like this. And I want out now. So she looked at me and she told me, you know what? Go back. Come back after 6 months. I looked at her and said, what's your problem? She said, no.
Like money.
She said, no, come back after 6 months. And by the time you're coming back, baby, write your story. I'm like, writing a story, it's not a big deal. So you just go to the computer and type. So I said, 6 months. I said, fine. So I went back. Luckily, of course, that time I'm on my own now because I've already left my ex. And I sat down and I can tell you those are the longest 6 months of my life. Because I had to start my story. This is when I got married. This is how I met. This is what I've gone through. And I can tell you that document had enough tears. Because you're writing and you're thinking.
And you're breaking down.
And I went back to the lawyer. So she's like, hi, Irene, you're actually serious? I looked at her like, duh. I was not joking. Yeah. And she guided me so well. And so it took me about 3 years for the whole process to get done. And I remember going to a judge's chamber. And she looked at me and she's like, are you serious about what you're doing? And I'm like, I have waited for 4 years. You're asking me if I'm serious?
Yeah,
are you for real?
Yeah.
And she was an amazing woman, tough lady, even in the corridors of justice. She's always known as a very, very tough lady. And I remember asking her, so what do you want? I said, I just want out. She's like, he's got property. I said, yeah. Do you want property? No. I'm serious. I could give you if you really want. I said, no. And then 6 months later, you know, she called me and told me your decree nisi is done and with the seal of the court, and I have actually laminated it. Yes. Wow. Yes, I have. Yeah. And I have been, divorced 15 years plus.
15 years. You've had the meat of the story. I want to move on to Angela and ask you. So because there's something that Madam Mkitheka here said that was very, very important. She said, you can't just wake up one morning and decide that you want a divorce. What are the grounds of divorce?
Thank you very much, Ashiko, for having me here again.
Yes.
First of all, we need to know that in Kenya, the family unit is very valued, even by law, because it's actually mentioned in the constitution, like the importance of the family unit. So you can't just decide to divorce and say, this marriage is not giving, and that's it. So you have to give reasons why you want to divorce. So by law, there are 5 reasons. The first one is very obvious, adultery. The next reason is cruelty, and this could be cruelty to one party of the marriage or to the children. Then there is desertion, like one party has abandoned the marriage, and it has to be for about 3 years preceding the date of presenting the divorce petition. Then we have that the marriage has irretrievably broken down. That could mean anything from, like the parties have separated for at least 2 years. Even adultery can fall there. You can have a difference of ideologies, you know, like finances. You could be 2 people who are very good, but one person is a spender, the other one is a saver, and one person does not want to work. So you see, it could be a difference in ideology, even a difference in religion that can make the marriage break down irretrievably. Then the 5th one is called exceptional depravity, and that means that there's something that is really lacking in the marriage, and you really, really want it, and you want it so much, so badly that you'd be willing to maybe go to extreme lengths to get it. So you see, it is exceptional depravity. For you to get divorced, you have to file a petition. So in the petition is where you will put all those grounds.
Let's not even get into that first. I just wanted to know the grounds. You know, so this is, we've already discovered these are the grounds, and someone is thinking this is viable. Psychologically speaking, Faith, what are some of the factors that somebody should consider even before going in, you know, for separation, which of course eventually will end up at divorce?
Let's first say that our psychological abilities or impact is because of the environment in this case, in this particular case. Because not all divorce cases or separation cases are as beautiful or as manageable as her case. We have women out here who are being beaten left, right, and center, and they literally have to run away for their lives. We have women who keep seeing their children being beaten by the fathers, and they have to run away with and save the children, right? We have situations where someone is actually running away from a potential infection. So there are so many things that happen around this time, and so many causes for divorce today, you cannot point on just one. 2, not everyone is as knowledgeable. I'm happy that she got married at 27. A girl who gets married at 21 is someone who doesn't know herself. Psychologically, she's not blossomed to understand herself and to be able to define and say, this is my vision board and this is how I want life to be for me. Some of them don't even understand what is my relationship style. And so when this person gets into this relationship with a stunted development, then they get into this relationship and someone takes advantage of them. And those are some of the irreconcilable differences that we're hearing here, or someone really needs something to be done for them, but you're not feeling it, you're not getting it. It's like you're trying to search for something consistently without getting a hold of it.
Yes.
And this person is not willing to go the direction of discovering you or helping you walk together and you grow together to discover what is this. So there are so many grounds for people coming to the this end of separation and divorce. And while at this, someone will, I want us to start from, I have made a decision that I want out. What happens at that point? Right? Because we need to be genuine to ourselves that making a decision in our African context of leaving a marriage is not easy.
Of course.
The first person you call is your mother. Yes. She tells you, majirani watasema nini?
Mwanamke ni kuvumilia.
Kwa nini hamvumili? You know, what is wrong with your generation?
Yes.
The next thing is you go to church. And the pastors are going to be like, no, but Jesus says, I have a case of a lady that we were trying to help the other day. and she's already separated, and the husband follows her to her place, and he starts beating her. And she calls the pastor, and the pastor is like, but let us listen to the will of God. And I'm like, which will of God when someone is about to be killed? You know, I support marriages. I believe in marriages. But I don't believe in people treating each other in an inhumane way. I don't believe in people harming each other. So in this case, the first thing that this person is trying to deal with is the realities of society, the realities of they themselves. Nobody gets into marriage just to divorce. No one. And especially our women, many of us don't go that direction so that we can divorce. So when we understand that, as society, we'll stop castigating people who are seeking for divorce. Women will start accepting themselves that I can also make my choices, and people need to respect my choice, even when it is not the right choice. Because sometimes we actually see the dents as society when a girlfriend is going for a man, and we can see this is a good guy, but he's not a good guy. But we are not confident enough to tell her, don't get married.
Don't get married. And we continuously see that. So I like that, and I like that perspective. So let's not look at what are the factors to consider. I think we need to affirm, yes, you have decided. As long as it's within the grounds, legally or within the grounds, then go for it. You know,
it's not even. Remember that this person doesn't even know. I'm looking at a woman in Ushago who probably doesn't know that there's a lawyer who someone needs to look for, right? But they are feeling that this system is not working for me, and I am degenerating as a human being.
Yes.
My psychological well-being is being affected. I am going through depression because of this. I start becoming forgetful because I'm going through a lot of pressure. So you start picking certain things about a depressed person in this woman simply because of her environment. Right?
Yes.
So in that case, you look at this person as a human being and you ask, what do you need? Do you need out? Will staying help? What is your next plan? How do you plan here? Oh, the way you're feeling right now, how do you plan your next move? Is it that you want to take leave and go to your parents' house, process this thing for at least 3 weeks or 1 month, and then be able to come and say with understanding that I am okay with myself and I'm okay with moving forward with a separation? Or is this something that you don't even have resources? Because some of these women who are beaten, many of them do not have the resources to at least go and rent out a house of 5,000. Just a house of 5,000. Yet, because of the beating that is happening in the house, she needs to run away with her children. So what is realistic? Some don't even have the resources to move from their house and go to their parents, back to their parents, and just say, I am not able to go back. I want to organize myself from here.
Okay. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So the immediate things are the things that come to fore. Am I running with my children? Am I leaving my children? And by the way, it's not bad to leave children.
Yeah.
No, as long as they are safe.
And now let's look at the nitty-gritties. So here we are, we have decided this is what we're doing. What is the process? What is the legal process? We had reached the petition. Yeah.
First of all, let me reiterate that the way the legal system is framed, it is framed in a manner to protect the family institution. But because we have the avenue of divorce, because, the drafters of the law are very keen to know that it might not always work out for reasons that Nashipa here has explained.
Yes.
So you have to first give the reasons. You get a petition drafted, but by then you can act yourself, or you can go to a lawyer. Of course, I will advocate that you can go to a good lawyer who will draft for you the petition. Yes. Then you file the petition in court. Now we have e-filing, so you draft it and then you upload it on the system, blah, blah, blah. That is a whole other discussion. But then you file it in court. When you file it in court, you have to get something called a notice to appear together with the petition. So that notice to appear is stamped and it is sealed by the court. Then after you file the petition, you have to let your person know that you
you
have,
file.
that you intend to divorce them. So you have to serve them. You have to serve the papers. Nowadays, you can serve either physically, you go, you give the person like this, and it's not you to serve.
It's your lawyer.
Yes, or the process server.
Yes.
You see, now if you have a lawyer, you won't have to think about all these things. But the court papers have to get to the respondent,
Yes.
to the person you're divorcing.
Yes.
You can either serve them physically or electronically. Now the law allows electronic service, that is service through messaging services like WhatsApp or email.
Wow.
Then once you serve, you have to go back to court and file something called an affidavit of service. This is sworn by either the advocate or a process server, but basically the person who effected the service. After the petition is served, by law the respondent is given 15 days to respond. And responding here does not mean calling you and telling you, oh, sasa kumeenda aje, I thought we could try again, or that is not responding.
Tumetoka mbali.
Yes.
Yes.
Or I also want this. No, that is not responding. Responding is filing, preparing either an answer to petition or a cross petition. You can do that in one document where you file an answer to petition, that is, you are responding to the petition that you have been served, or a cross petition. An answer to petition is basically responding, but a cross petition is where the respondent says, even me, I want a divorce, but not because of what she said or he said.
Over other
I
grounds.
want a divorce because of A, B, C, and D. So once that is drafted, and it is filed in court, and then you as the petitioner, you are served, you have to go back to court now for pre-trials in a divorce matter. And you file the petitioner will file an application for something called a registrar's certificate. And we understand that some people can be served and then they don't respond.
Yes.
So that will not stop the petition from proceeding.
Good.
During the pre-trials now, you will have to prove that you served, but the other person has not responded. So the petition will proceed as an undefended cause. It means that now you, the petitioner, you'll just say your story, and then the court will decide.
Yes.
But if the person has responded, you still have to go back to court during those pre-trials. Then you will state that we served and they have responded, they have filed this, so the petition will proceed as a defended cause.
Where?
Then after that, now
we got into separation in all these things.
No,
Yeah.
separation. But then I'll address the issue
Yes.
of separation, legally, what the term separation means.
Yes.
So if you had filed a divorce petition, then now the matter will be heard. But you can also file a petition for separation. If it is a petition for separation, it just means that the marriage has not been dissolved,
Yes.
but you are not bound to cohabit.
Aha.
Because the perception or the vision of marriage is that husband and wife will live together.
Yes.
And living together does not necessarily mean that you have to be in the same house, because you know, maybe your person is working at a different county, or because of the economic situation they are abroad. But you see, as long as you have unity of purpose, that is still a marriage. But if you file a petition for judicial separation, it means that now you have separated and you are not legally bound to cohabit or to have that unity of purpose. You have to attend a hearing where the matters are heard in camera. That is, you are the only ones in court.
Yes.
It's not public like the way the other cases you've seen, they are beamed all over. So a divorce hearing is in camera, it's private. And now, you know, the cause list is available online. For divorce matters, they don't state your name. For example, I'm Angela Mwadumbo. If I'm divorcing someone, the cause list will not say Angela Mwadumbo. It will say A and M versus, for example, ABC.
Yes.
It's just to protect your privacy and to preserve that. So after the hearing, the court has to render a decision. If you have given convincing reasons that the marriage needs to be dissolved, then the court will render a judgment dissolving the marriage.
Yes.
Even after the marriage is dissolved, it's not dissolved there and then. You get something that she mentioned. You get first a decree nisi. That's like, I'll call it a temporary decree.
Yes.
So that just in case you still want to rethink
make things work, yeah.
Yes, that is a temporary decree. And then now the divorce becomes final once the decree absolute is issued. In the judgment now is when the judicial officer will state how long the decree needs, how long it will take the decree needs to be made absolute. So you see, even by law, although divorce is legal and it is enabled by law, it's still not as easy. Nowadays, even for customary marriages, you need to register the marriage. You need to go to your e-citizen. There is a very nice page there at the Attorney General, Registrar of Marriage, and you follow those simple steps. Purely because, and I think these decisions have been circulating in social media, before you divorce, there has to be a marriage first. The definition of marriage in the Marriage Act is very, very particular. It has to have been registered. So have that in mind first.
Let's go back to Ms. Kideka and talk about, before we go and look at some of the things that the emotional impact of such things. After all is said and done, 15 years is quite a long time. Yes. You know, what are some of the myths and stereotypes that you have experienced or you've witnessed other divorcees experience, both men and women, in regards to, you know, divorce and separation?
Wow. I think the first thing, and I say this very respectfully, is that the minute a woman says she's divorced, the first thing everyone will ask, kwani uko unampatia vizuri? And you're thinking, geez, has it occurred I wasn't serviced too? You know, it's really not about that. There is that. So that's one of the first things that every woman is told. We also have the myth, for example, if you're of the Christian faith, for example, like I am, there's a Bible verse, a foolish woman destroys her home with her own hands. And you're thinking, how many women are actually foolish? Really? How many women are foolish? So again, it makes a woman wonder, why would I want to put myself in a status where people are telling me I have destroyed my home. People are telling me I am foolish. Again, the famous book, which again, with insight, it's actually a very good book in the Bible, Proverbs 31, Woman.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not going to lie, I couldn't read that book because the society around me was like, you're not like this, you're not this, you're this. You know, Proverbs woman wakes up in the morning, Proverbs 31 woman, the husband is proud of her. And you're thinking, oops, it's clearly not me. And that in itself, as a woman, you're thinking, okay, so it's all my fault.
You feel, yeah.
It's all my fault.
And like you're almost less than.
You become, literally, you almost become a persona non grata in the society. So even when you're having, even when you're having meetings and stuff like that, there is this myth that because you're a divorced woman, you want my husband. And you're thinking, if I'm given your husband and free, I will take the free and leave your husband. Because again, when you're out there as a woman who is divorced, you know these men now. You're on the other side of the table. So someone's thinking, you want my husband. I know the kind of stuff your husband does. Trust me. And because it's none of my business, I will not bother. Because again, someone is told, two people who have shared a bed together, you don't interfere. Let them figure out on their own. Because, I'm imagining, even in my case, somebody knew something was going on, but they wouldn't tell me. Yeah. It's natural, and I appreciate that. So the same thing, when someone thinks you go out, there is this thing that everyone believes or thinks, because you're a divorced woman, you're out there scrounging for people's husbands, you're hungry when you feel it, For crying out loud, we've gone through so much to even put ourselves in a space where you want another man, at least for a moment. Yeah. You want to gather yourself. You want to, pick up the pieces that were broken, pick up the pieces that are unstuck. You want to even figure out, I am broken. But people don't think like that. Then there's this idea that because you're a divorced woman, you need to kaa ngumu. After all, what's the big deal? You're the one who has left, or you're the one who has been left. Ngangana.
So you're not supposed to feel anything.
No, how do you feel? How can you
And you're the
feel?
one who walked out.
No,
Unalia nini?
no. How? Mwanamke ni kujigangari, you know. And that breaks a lot of women. It breaks you so much as a woman, because again, you start asking yourself, am I a lesser human being? I was supposed, at least the Bible tells us you're supposed to be a helper.
Yeah.
So if you're a helper, that means there's something you know for that particular marriage to take place.
Yeah.
So when that myth comes in, like you're such a useless person, it feels like you are not worthy at all. The other myth also you realize, and this is painful sometimes when I think about the people we hang around and whatever, is you find that because you're divorced now, you are second-hand.
Yeah.
So because you're
used to goods.
second-hand,
Yeah.
by the way, you don't pick anything. Pick his breathing, pick. The society needs you to be Mrs.
Oh dear.
You know, you're in chamas and everything. Hello, my name is Mrs. You know, mimi ni bibi ya fulani. Oh, nasimama, I am so and so. Everyone is looking at you and thinking, the story is not finished. Well, una bwana, you're less.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And many more.
Yeah,
and many more.
And many more. I mean, it's the stigma from society on divorces. And at this point, we're talking about both men and women. I'm guessing even the men don't have it easy. I mean, it's truly unfortunate what, divorcees are dealing with out here, and the stigma that they get from society. And I like what you said. I don't think anybody rolls into marriage with the aspiration for, you know what, so 2027, I get divorced. So I think we also need to be so much more sensitive as a society to people who are going through separation and divorce. We're going to take a small break, and then we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, today's conversation is around coping with separation and divorce. And of course, like we've mentioned before, this is a reality that we have to face. And as more marriages continue to dissolve, we also need to find a way of how to cope. How are the individuals coping? Are they drowning in their sorrow, in their grief? What's happening? And so we're so grateful for our wonderful panel who have been able to really give us insight on the conversation, both from a personal and a lived experience to proper expertise from a therapist and a lawyer. So we are in the question and answer session, and to start us off, we have Veronica. Veronica, karibu sana.
My question is, what is the emotional impact of divorce to both the individual and children, if any?
Excellent question. I'll let Faith take that one, and then we can also get an opinion from Ms. Kitheka.
Thank you so much for that question. The truth is that when someone is going through the process of divorce, there are several things that happens in their lives. One, a woman will lose confidence. She'll lose her self-esteem. She'll lose her self-worth. You heard Kitheka saying that she could not recognize herself as beautiful. She will lose her way of doing things, because all these things are being corroded. So there's some level of losses that happen. She is also losing her status in the society. Because I'm going to a meeting and wamama, you know? And so you become timid, but it's all in your head because of the society. So there is the self-stigma. Apart from the social stigmatization, there is the self-stigma that you carry with yourself, and the reality of I am a different woman. There is the pain of losing a partner the pain of losing, even when it is a bad situation, because you did not get into this thing to get out.
Yes.
So there is the pain of losing this partner who you would come home and talk to. There is that hug that you'll walk to the house and not be able to get a hug. There is, you go to bed at night and maybe you're used to having a pillow talk and there's no one to have a pillow talk with. So there are several losses that happen, and all these things bring you to a place of grief. Then when you look at the grieving stages, the losses come in different stages. If you're someone significant in church, you're losing your position in church because what? Divorce.
Divorce, yes.
If you are someone who had a name that is known Mrs. So-and-so, you wake up and you have to allow yourself to accept this name called single mother. It is not something that you signed up to. But being called Mrs. So-and-so and Mama So-and-so was important to you when you were in this relationship. Very significant. Now there is a difference of names. That is a loss. So all these emotions, and then there is the pain. This person did this to me. Like, I can only imagine her level of tears when she was documenting her story. You're a strong woman. Having to document your story and reliving every other year is a painful process, because now you're coming to terms with the realities of things that you personally ignored that hurt you. And then you're also coming to notice that I should have spoken here, but I did not speak. Right? So there are all these things about, you start feeling a lot of pain in you. You're also feeling guilty. Society makes you feel guilty. You're feeling guilty about your children, because no mother wants to raise her children without a father. Not always. Yes. Some make a choice, but not always. You started out the right way. You had your vision board, like she did have a beautiful one, and now she's found herself here. All these things happen in this small mind of this woman, and she's alone. Then let's come to children. I always tell people, your children are not ectopic to divorce. What do I mean? They are not going to be fetched from the next room. They are already in this sin. The fact that they are your children, they call you mother, they call him father, this is their environment. If there are people that you're seriously disrupting an environment for, are these children. You're taking away either father, who is security and safety for them. You're taking mother, who is emotional support and care for them and nurturing for them. Or you're taking them away, hiving them away from a social system they're used to, their buddies, their school.
Because they have to move.
Their normal environment. So children also lose a lot. But many times we do not look at these children. We ignore them.
So very, very briefly, you have lived this. So what was the impact? What was the emotional impact? And I think we would want to dig deeper.
So what happens with divorce is like taking a paper and cutting it. Now, when you have a scissors, it's a clean cut. But divorce is where you're rip. It's like you're ripping meat apart with all the nerves and everything. So that particular loss, you actually go through some process. You actually find the first time you get a shock. You're in shock. Hiya, what is going on? You know, you're angry. You're really angry because, like she said, I didn't sign up for this. So you get angry. That was not the plan. Then you get to a point and tell yourself, let me bargain kidogo. Let me figure out if I'm nicer here, if I can do this a bit better.
You pull those ones. You went back home.
Exactly. Then you get to a point and you realize, I'm doing all this bargaining and it is not working. You fall into a depression. And I can tell you, you go through a depression, one of the best things you can do is go for therapy. Either way, as it is on societal grounds, you have accepted niliingia na nikawachwa. Sasa tuendelee. And you take life beautiful. That is where I am.
Because I like that, because someone may think because you're talking about it and you're very vocal about divorce that you're glorifying it. You're absolutely not. You are accepting. You're accepting that this is my reality. This is who I am.
In the first 2 years of divorce, someone needs to be very careful because that's when all this happens, and people tend to stick into divorce divorce, into depression for too long.
Yes.
Such that they're not able to reclaim their lives back. And there's several things that happen in the process, and it's good for them to check themselves. Like, am I eating well? Do I wake up in the morning the normal time, or am I just too tired throughout the day, and even when I wake up in the morning I am tired? The first thing I do is I am tired. You're always complaining about tiredness. The next thing is, am I able to manage my life normally, or has my life stopped in one or another? When all these things, am I taking a shower? Simple as, am I taking a shower?
Simple self-care tips, and I think we'll get to that with you just in a little bit, because now that we've seen the impact, we would also want to look at, okay, which is the meat of the show? How do we cope? Because like you're saying, you can find yourself in there for those 2 years. So our next question or comment is from Caroline.
My question is to Wakili Angela. If I've been married according to my adopted culture, it is being married by 99 goats. And I realize that I have all these grounds, the 5 grounds you have mentioned, and I need to get out of this marriage. How do I go about it? Does the law, do I have any legal redress?
For there to be a divorce, there has to be a marriage first. The Marriage Act came into force in 2014. It recognizes 5 regimes of marriage. We have customary marriage, we have civil marriage. This customary is the one where, like where I come from, Wanakura Sheria, I think it's there where somebody pays 99 goats. Yes. The second one is the civil marriage, commonly known as where people go to the ages. Yes. Then we have the Christian marriage. This one we all know. You go to church, you wear the white dress, and you part the coat after you put the certificate. Yes. Yeah. Then we have the Islamic marriages under the Islamic Sharia law, and we have the Hindu marriages. Yes. What makes a marriage? Certain things have to be done before a marriage is considered a marriage. There has to be certain elements. There has to be a witness, like for AG Christian, there has to be a witness, that is the best couple. And there has to be the officiating person. It could be the pastor, it could be the registrar of marriages, and even these pastors and priests, they have to be registered actually as officiators of marriage. In the traditional, in customary law, each tribe has its own customs. And some things have to be fulfilled for it to be a marriage. So even if somebody paid for you the goats, there had to be a whole process. They came, they were told what to do, they brought what they did, somebody fed somebody something, or maybe like all those things have to be fulfilled for it to be considered a marriage, even customarily. Now, what change did this new Marriage Act bring in? That even these customary marriages have to be registered. And the word is registered. So you have finished all those ones, people really ululated, the goats were paid. After you complete all those, now you have to go to the registrar of marriages and just register. And you'll be issued with a certificate that will state they are customarily married. But now with this new law, if your marriage is not registered, then that does not qualify as a marriage. Because even the Act has a section on evidence of marriage. What is evidence of marriage? It is that registration. Yes. Or if you went to a church, an extract of that institution that is licensed to offer marriages. And right now we are seeing that in the current trend of judicial decisions that state that if a customary marriage was not registered, then there's no marriage, so there's nothing to divorce.
Let us move on to the next question or comment, which is from Jacqueline. Jacqueline, karibu sana.
My question will go to Irene. I see you as a strong woman right now, but I've heard your story also. And I'm looking at those years gone by. And I would want to know what self-care you've taken over yourself to come this far and to be this strong.
All right, lovely. Thank you so much for your question. I am humbled. You think I'm a strong woman. I think the first thing that you need to do is accept yourself. I have accepted myself, I have accepted the situation, and I've worked around self-making. I'm careful, first of all, who is around me. I am careful, for example, what I read, what I watch, where I go. And I can tell you confidently, I have personal solo trips, solo vacations, because I love myself. I've gotten to that level where you need to agree this is where you're at and you move on with life. Make yourself a better person. You know, look in the mirror and you know those affirmations. You know, you're like, I'm good. I may not be Miss Universe, but I am Miss Universe in my universe. And that in itself, I can tell you, it doesn't matter. You may have rabbit teeth. You may have nyamas everywhere, but they're yours. Yeah. You own yourself. And that for me is a journey for self-care, and it still goes on. You know, it's not a matter of looking at me now and thinking, wow, she's so good at it. No, I had my down moments, but at this particular time, I have been able to have a very high level of self-awareness.
That is actually truly inspirational. Yeah. Faith, professionally speaking, just a very few self-care tips for anybody who's going through this.
Thank you. Earlier I had mentioned about a few things that someone stops doing because they are going through the process of loss and depression and grief. And also just the disruption of normalcy. There's something you've been doing for a whole year or for several years, and now you're not doing it. So how do you pick yourself up again? One is very important. Just allow yourself to go through therapy. It's very important. And especially if you cannot be able to feel your heartbeat. You know, there's a way you have your personal heartbeat, you know very well. Not the way unasikia roho ikipiga, but you know very well, I'm losing myself in this. You need to wake up. You realize that I am taking too much wine. You realize that I am having very interesting behaviors that are bordering on promiscuity and you know, careless behavior. Then you realize that you slept in a club twice last week. And this is not part of you. This is not the way you do things. So with that, you submit yourself for therapy. Yes. But important, have the right kind of people around you.
Yes.
Even if you're just going to cry tears during your prayer time, it is healthy for you. Yeah. Go ahead and pray. Yeah. Even if you're just going to say the grace in the morning, it's okay. Yeah. But don't forget about yourself in all these whatevers. Then also read necessary books that are going to help you in the process.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I mean, I truly hope that every single person who is going through what we're discussing today, or somebody has gotten some form of, assistance. You can see light at the end of the tunnel. So we have come to the end of today's very, very insightful episode. And we really want to thank our wonderful panelists for taking time to actually sit with us as we discuss this issue. We are definitely hoping to have a part 2 where we will dig deeper, because we've discovered that this is quite a broad topic, and I know that there are so many people who at home will agree with us. I also want to thank my wonderful audience for definitely their question, participating, the feedback, the words of encouragement, and everything that they do for us. So on behalf of our wonderful production team at KBC, our location partner, Chester Hotel and Suites, myself, Ashiko Mbune, I wish you all a lovely week. I will catch you same time, same place next week. Until then, goodbye.